All right, let's move on into part 3. Everybody here? So let's talk about finding. Let's find the deals, okay? Finding note sellers, banks, websites, and platforms, okay? So let's talk about the places where you can find notes. Banks, obviously, of all sizes, lending institutions like credit unions, mortgage bankers, not brokers, mortgage bankers who are originating loans on behalf and then selling the notes off to the banks or other lending institutions. Servicing companies are a great place to find other deals, especially the business development personnel at that servicer, because that person is the one going out getting new business, going to events, talking with other investors like you and me out there. Great place to go. Oftentimes, your servicing companies may have a session on their website for deals, trading platform, a loan sales platform on their website, like Massive Management does. FCI's had one for years. You want to make sure, though, that it's not cherry picked over and you just left the dregs on there. Okay. Obviously, note conferences and conventions can be a great place to find deals. And a lot of people are like, well, I can't go to a convention. Okay. That's why the online works so well. Check out what's going on. See who's responding. See who's commenting on posts. Part of the reason we've been doing Note Camp for 5 years is that it was offered those that could not travel to an event the same experience of networking, communicating, and following up. LinkedIn, if you start putting on your profile that you're a note investor, put it in your keywords, put it in your title, you'll start seeing deals come on. That's also another way. Go to LinkedIn and search note investor. Hey, I'm looking to connect with other note investors. What do you have on your books that you're looking to get rid of? Do you have anything you're looking to move this quarter? I found plenty of deals by doing that on a regular basis. Private sellers, you'll find that at your meetup groups. You'll find those in your local communities, your local REI clubs, conferences, networking, private sellers like you and me, everybody. County clerk, great place to find a lot of people, a lot of banks or institutions that have bought or sold notes, especially in the last 12 months. You just go to especially on the assignment of mortgage, and if a note is sold, there's usually an assignment of mortgage that falls along with it. That has to get filed. Well, it should always be, not maybe. There always is an assignment of mortgage that's filed to transfer ownership from, say, Chase Bank to Inverse Investments or ABC Bank. There's always going to be an assignment filed to transfer the ownership of things. So look at the county clerk, look for assignment of mortgages at the county clerk, and you'll pull a list up in your county, and then you see all the institutions who was the assignee and the assignor. Okay, so you have 2 sources there for potential deals. Foreclosure lists are a great place as well. Seeing which banks are getting ready to foreclose, and then contacting the bank, not specifically for those deals that are foreclosing, all right, but to use the attorney contacts who's foreclosing on that deal to get into the bank for their future deals, or maybe their stuff across the country. One of the things as we start seeing foreclosures increase here, we'll start doing a little bit more. Like, we suspend that, so it was our first ideal source. Pulling the foreclosure list for Travis or Williamson or Bexar County, and it'd be like 900 names and properties, and looking, okay, who's the smaller banks on there? Let's whittle down, get rid of the bigger banks. Okay, at 900, we'd whittle it down to a list of 125 smaller institutions. And then we'd contact the smaller institutions, and using that address, using that property they're foreclosing as a lead source, say, hey, I'm interested if you're interested in selling this note. If not, what else do you have on your books? Okay. We didn't care about the asset they were foreclosing that month. We always wanted to use it as a warm lead when we reached out to the banks. Okay. David Lapan. Yeah, FCI's exchange was closed, shut down. Yeah, thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, I've never bought anything from FCI Exchange. I actually thought it was a big waste. But there's exchanges also out there that we'll talk about later on. But thanks, David, appreciate it. Yeah, the reason it shut down, nothing was moving. It was a lot like LoopNet. Something that listened on there really wasn't a deal. Okay, we did a video on finding deals as well, a webinar with Note Night in America. There's a link there. It's about an hour long on finding different deals that we go through a little bit more in depth. So great for you to watch that. Bank departments, the specific banks, institutions. When you start getting larger institutions, you're going to have basically 4 different departments, or 4 names for roughly the same department. Your larger institutions, they'll have a special assets department, okay, or a secondary marketing department. You're not going to call customer service and often get transferred to these guys. You often have to call the main office, okay, and track down their departments inside of there, okay. Secondary marketing department. Don't say marketing. Secondary marketing department. That they're marketing their assets. Sometimes the REO departments will be thrown in with this, the non-performing note side. Just depends how big the institution is. If it's one department or two separate. And oftentimes you'll have a special assets manager for residential, and then different special asset managers for the commercial side. So keep that in mind. Also, a lot of banks will have whole loan sales departments where they're moving the portfolios of their loans off. It may be 5, it may be 500. It just varies on what they have available. Chief credit risk officer is often, you'll see this in smaller institutions, especially get smaller banks, usually 5 branches or less. The loan officer that made the loan is often the person who's handling the foreclosure and working through that. So keep that in mind. That's why I usually target banks that have 5 or more branches, because oftentimes they'll have specific individuals that are handling it for the bank. So if you go to LinkedIn and search by those names, you'll find hundreds of thousands of people in the lending institutions out there, and it's a great place to start. So LinkedIn, the free version, special assets department, secondary marketing department, home loan sales department, chief credit risk officer, type those in and start networking, start making connections that way. Some of the most important websites in finding deals for you guys. Lane Guide. Lane Guide's been around for years. It's a pretty good starting point, about $150, $165 a year. I use it on a regular basis to find the internal departments. Lane Guides get some great search engine optimization, not search engine optimization, but searches on the left side if you log into Lane Guide. Just need the online version. Don't buy the CD, just buy the online version. And you can search by bank name, by lending type. You can do an REO asset manager search. That's Lane Guide lumps in the REOs and special assets in the same thing. So that's a great way to look. Well worth the $165 a year. I use Lane Guide on a weekly, sometimes daily basis, depending on how busy we are. I especially use it in coordination with Bauer Financial. Bauer Financial is a bank and credit union rating company. They rank banks based on their quarterly reports and things like that. You can buy a list of institutions. It costs me about $400 every quarter when we buy it. And it gives us every bank, like I'll ask, hey, give me your list of banks with 5 branches or more. And this is over, so then they give me a list, it's a spreadsheet that's sent to me, bank institutions, over 2,000, you have the website of the CEO, president, a phone number, usually the customer service number. But the most valuable aspect of it is it gives me all their really quarterly financial data. Are they up in defaults? Are they down in defaults? How many assets they have under management? How much REO? How many 0 to 90 days? How many charge-offs? How many multifamily loans? How many commercial loans? What's their Texas ratio, which basically is a default ratio. And you can see the ranking. They rank them from a 1-star, which means they've got a lot of issues, to a 5-star. So I re-rank, when I get that list in, I'll rank it by stars, lowest first. Like when I looked at the most recent list, Bank of Louisiana, a 1-star rating. Boom, I'm on the phone. I use Lane Guide to find a number for them. I jump on LinkedIn, look for special assets manager at the Bank of Louisiana, and that's my guide. I start reaching out to them on a regular basis to see what they have available. Okay, dialing for dollars. We're going to be doing a call blitz. We did this last month. Very successful 4-hour phone call, made 50 phone calls in roughly 4 hours. We live streamed it, recorded it. So we're excited about doing that again here sometime this month, probably closer to the end of the month, if not first part of July, just because it's giving a little bit more time until we start seeing things happening up and what's going on with the markets. But we record that. Hey, people loved listening in, asking questions as I was dialing for dollars, and you were hearing me talking to asset managers and leaving messages. And we found a couple leads in an afternoon that we're still working through. Okay. You always also, you can always go to the FDIC.gov website. If it's a federally secured bank, you'll be able to go to FDIC and see the list of banks that have closed and the banks that have bought those corresponding banks that have closed. That's a great place to go to identify banks that have assets for sale. If a bank has bought another bank, they've probably taken over their assets, and they may have some non-performing stuff they can sell off in a year. All right. You can always go to this Texas Savings and Mortgage Lending website. Just copy paste that into your search engine. Texas Savings and Mortgage Lending Department handles the lending and licensing side of mortgage banks and brokers doing business here in the state of Texas. You can download the whole roster, and then you clear it up by mortgage bankers, banks, and lending institutions and servicing companies, and it'll give you right over 3,000 contacts, company, institution names, their mailing address, phone numbers, emails. Usually, person in charge of licensing, so you have to use that to kind of bounce to the right person. But still, a great way to do it, turn into a drip campaign, sending an email blast out, and going from there. We'll go through quite a bit of that next week. All right. You can also go to other state licensing websites. Not every state is going to publicize their list. The mass majority of states, to find out who's licensed, they will refer you to the federal National Mortgage License Servicing list. And then that's just a search name one at a time. Doesn't give you the download option like the Texas Savings and Mortgage Lending websites do, okay? If you're more into commercial is kind of the play you feel yourself going to. Scotsman Guide is another free website to go to. Scotsman Guide is usually today, well, they've been a resource for mortgage bankers, mortgage brokers looking to try to find lending opportunities to make loans on properties, commercial, residential, any weird lending type. So when I was a mortgage broker, we'd get Scotsman Guide. It was like a huge ESPN the magazine kind of big thing, okay? And so, but you can search on there for commercial, lenders lending on specific asset classes. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm looking for mobile home parks, or I'm looking for self-storage facilities, or I'm looking for apartment lenders. Well, one of the best ways is to go look at portfolio lenders that are originating those loans, and that's what we use Scotsman Guide for, okay? But let alone those 6 websites, you'll have a couple thousand names, a couple thousand contacts you can put in your database and start marketing to, and then rock and roll, okay? Some of the different platforms that are out there. Paperstack.com is a new platform, and it's been out there for a while. Madison Management has some loans available. Watermark Exchange, I had Val Saltier on Note Camp last week. He's starting to see an increase in some postings on there. FCA Exchange no longer is around, but you can do exchange.loans. Our buddy Michael Jimenez spoke last week at Note Camp, and he's got a new platform that they've launched. He's doing some commercial stuff or doing some portfolio stuff. Mike's got a 10-year record. Used to work at auction.com. And so there you go. Exchange.loans, and then also auction.com or 10X is also a new listing spot. Is our Mission Capital, Note Trader Exchange, DebtX. Those are also some of the bigger ones out there, especially Mission Capital and DebtX. Those are some big portfolios. But you can often find some stuff on there. I will tell you this, Paperstack, Madison Management are probably going to be picked over pretty well. You're going to see some stuff that's been out there for a while. So go to the new places, okay? I like to use 10X or auction.com, see what they have listed there, finding a property, see what's listed as a note sale, because they used to do a lot of note sales. They've gotten back and starting to do some more of that now, and tracking down the lender who's selling that loan, and that's one of the best ways. May not be the actual property, the note on the property that are listed, but I'll find the bank and often find the list if they have them to move, okay? But if you're looking for deals, these are probably the most valuable aspect of this. If you're looking to find deals, hey, use these websites to pull lists, right? Use these websites to start looking at, to start making bids, to start doing due diligence, start getting some of your systems down. That's one of the best things you can do as a note investor, is start pulling up deals and start doing your due diligence on a listed asset. That's what I did. When I would get a list in, I would jump on and okay, what's the value? What do we find value? What's the rents? Break it down, do the full due diligence on it initially to get my feet wet. Submit an offering. And submitting offerings usually, especially if it's dealing with a bank or something like that, you're just sending an email in with a bid attached to it. A bid could be just a number and why it is, or if you got a bunch you're making bids on, it's a spreadsheet, okay? On the platforms, they often want you to submit your bids directly on their platform and through them. So that's easy enough to do, okay? But those, this session is definitely the most important thing for you looking for deals. Any questions about sourcing deals, whether it's direct from the bank, website, or you're out really hustling to find it from at events or other investment clubs, meetings, or the county records. You're going to do a variety of these. I mean, we do a variety of these on a pretty much regular basis. Well, Omar, it's the same thing. If you're looking for land deals, you just find lenders who lend on land. Okay. Same thing. Call on your banks. Hey, do you have any land loans you're looking to get rid of? So that's the thing. Look at, if you go to Land Guide and start looking at searches on their land, that's where I would go. Okay. Or contacting banks and say, hey, what do you have in your books that you're looking to get rid of? Any land that you're looking to move, get off your books. Okay. Wesley says, when we use one of the websites, is there a specific formula or process we should consider as most of the deals have been picked over? Wesley, you have to dive in. There's no magic number. You can't just drop an address into a spreadsheet and suddenly spit out, oh, this is the perfect deal for you. Okay, you got to look at, you got to do your own due diligence. You got to break it down. Specific formulas, what are you looking for? You're looking for performing notes? You're looking for non-performing? This is what I'm trying to get back, the variety of things. There is no magic pill. You've got to do the work. You've got to look at it and break things down. This is why we talk about, if you look at, there's a couple things on due diligence, and there's a video on determining due diligence that we'll get to later on. You've got to do the work. I love you, buddy. But you got to look at it. Does this make sense? Does the property look decent for what I see? Am I going to get am I going to get a discount? If you're looking for performing notes, the discount's going to be less. If you're looking for non-performing notes, okay, great. If it's a vacant assets, okay, you want to get cheaper than if it's an occupied asset. There's a whole lot of things that go in to doing it. As I said, go in and watch some of the videos. Go in, and you're signed up for the virtual workshop next week, so don't be, when you're signed up for that, I'll be posting a link out, an email with the replays of the last one to help you guys start learning the lingo for next week's workshop. If you're signed up for the virtual workshop, you'll get that email with the replays. Okay. But you just got to look, what are they looking for? What kind of pricing point? And then go from there. I mean, I'll get a spreadsheet in and I'll look at stuff that'll performing or non-performing, and okay, let's split it up. Let's get rid of the states I don't want to invest in. Okay. What are you looking for? What are your pricing? And that's the biggest question that you have to ask when you get a spreadsheet. What kind of pricing are you looking for? If you don't know pricing, don't waste your time. There's like, oh, best, highest and best. Okay. Give me some, what are you selling it for? Give me an idea. Otherwise, I'm not going to waste my time. If you want par or 90, 95 cents a dollar, I'll just move on to something else. Okay. Lingo. All right. Yeah. The lingo. You'll learn some lingo today. All right. Let's move on. Unless there are any other questions about sourcing leads, sourcing assets, list making, I think I probably teach this better than anybody else out there in the industry. And I do not, here's the thing, I don't do direct mail. Somebody asked me the other day, but I'm going to do somebody else's course, and I'm going to do a ton of direct mail. That's great. I don't waste my time with that. It's such a low ROI to drop out 50 letters of postcards to owner finance sellers. Doesn't make any sense to me. I can spend 4 hours and get 4 leads, or do an email blast out to banks and get more leads in than I would ever do doing postcards out. So I know some people's made a great living teaching that. It's the 21st century. It's time to start marketing. Okay. If you go to your LinkedIn profile and put in I buy owner finance notes or I buy notes, you'll start getting more responses that way than direct mail, as long as you're marketing. Okay. Marketing videos. Hey, if you were to go on there today and talk about, hey, I'm buying owner finance notes, I buy notes, you'll get people that respond to you that way with video. Some of our #1 videos for that aspect, that asset class, we talk about owner finance notes, and we get a lot of people that opt in are asking us, do you buy notes? Just off of those videos. So you'll hear me talk about marketing later on, but if you're looking for owner finance notes, that would be what I would do. I would not, don't send postcards, go to your LinkedIn, but focus also on buying institutional debt. Okay. Patrick asked a question, how long after one bank acquires a failed bank will the acquiring bank be finished selling off non-performing loans from the defunct bank? Great question, Patrick. I'm so glad you asked that. So when a bank buys another bank's assets, okay, when a bank buys another bank's assets, they're often buying a loss. They have to sign a loss share agreement. What's that mean? Well, if they're acquiring the bank at a discount, the acquiring bank's acquiring let's just say a defunct bank at a big discount, their assets 20 cents on the dollar, like, I don't know, let's say like how Bank of America acquired Countrywide a decade ago, 20 cents on the dollar. They have to agree not to sell those assets off less than 88 cents or 80 cents on the dollar for a year. All right. So what you see happening is the banks will wait. They'll work through those assets. They'll keep them on their books. And then after 12 months, then they'll sell them off. Then they can sell them at a price that makes sense for them. So you'll hear often a bank, especially if you're calling off the acquiring bank list off FDIC.gov, you want to say, when you're talking to a special assets manager or secondary market, hey, do you have any legacy assets you're looking to get rid of? Legacy assets are just assets that have been around longer, usually from a previous bank that bank acquired. So that's the thing. If you're calling a failed bank list and you're going to call the banks that bought that failed bank list, I would go down a year from now, or go a year in the past and say, okay, who acquired a bank? What bank acquired who a year ago, and start working for it. If it's less than a year, yeah, you can make those connections, but they're probably not going to have as much and not be as flexible on the pricing until that year hits. So great question, Patrick. Thank you for asking that. But yeah, a year. This is why in 2009, after all the debacle, Bank of America reported record earnings, and then they also returned the TARP money to the government without you spending a dime. They didn't need to. They bought Countrywide at 20 cents a year went by. They were able to sell those assets off at 40, 80 cents a dollar at that point. They made a ton of money at that point. Oh, wow, we're good. Thank you, FDIC. Color. Color means discount. What kind of, doesn't mean, hey, you're going to give me yellow, red. You know, color means give me some idea. What kind of discount am I getting? Give me some feedback. Give me some color. Okay. Not dropping F word. Doesn't mean black, white, yellow, green. What it means is discount. Give me some feedback on discount. What kind of color can you give me? All right. Thanks, Patrick. Good question, Wesley.